you'll find a place of rest. In the arms of Spirit, it's waited so long for your homecoming day. It knows the peace you need and the hurt you're feeling. We want to hold you and to wipe your tears away. For the doors unlocked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in.
Come on in. There is
Room enough in the home of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in.
Come on in. Come on in. Welcome home.
You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in.
Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my health, Spirit. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my health, Spirit. Thank you for my health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life.
I don't need this. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Wilmington. Thank you for being here, whether you're here in person, online, or later on YouTube, which is how I watch when I'm not here in person. Wherever you are, you're always in the right place at the right time, right now. And while you're there, wherever you are, you're a beloved expression of God, and you're here for a holy purpose. So am I. We all are. Thank you.
Many nights we prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to give. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe. Somehow you will when you believe. In this time of fear, when prayer so often proves in vain, hope feels like a summer bird too swiftly flown away. But now I'm standing here, my heart's so full I can't explain, seeking faith and speaking words I never thought I'd say. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. You will when you believe. They don't always happen when you ask, no. And it's easy to give in to your fears. But when you're blinded by your pain, can see your way right through the rain. Small but still resilient voice says help is very near. Oh, there can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. Now you will. You will when you believe. You will when you believe. Oh, just believe. You will when you believe.
Are you willing to believe that all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, and all of your decisions and your decision making is driven by your belief system? Yeah, that's the good news, and that's the other good news. Because indeed, all of our thoughts, all of our feelings, and all of our decision making, they are driven by our belief systems. Now, in Unity and other spiritual and religious traditions, we teach practices that support us to overcome. Because some of those thoughts, feelings, and decision-making, which form our belief systems, lead us to experiences that we don't like, that we're not happy about. And so Unity, religions, and other spiritual paths teach that if we change our belief system, if we back up enough, that there are practices that can support us in doing that very thing that we desire, which is to transform and have a different experience of our lives. Lynn Twist, who's a modern mystic, she's not a Unity person, but her teachings are very much in alignment with Unity teaches that there are 3 toxic myths of scarcity. And this is what they are. There is not enough. Toxic myth number 1 is that there is not enough. We are taught from when we're little. If you just think about the game musical chairs, we were taught and it was reinforced that there are not enough chairs to go around, so that there is not enough is a truth with a little t, a lowercase t, not an uppercase truth, but a lowercase truth. There's not enough food, there's not enough water, there's not enough time, there's not enough money. And when we get caught up in the not enoughness, we get into the grip of fear, because we believe that we have to put up with jobs and work that we don't like, because, there's not another job or there's not other work out there that will ever bring me satisfaction. And there's not enough actually leads us to make choices that we're not really proud of. Because when there's not enough, somebody has to lose. Somebody has to go without. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're not that person. And we're going to make sure that we do everything we can so that our family members or our friends and our loved ones are not the ones that end up marginalized or crushed or left out without enough. It's a downer. Number 2, more is better. And this actually builds on myth number 1, because if there's not enough, then the fear that we get into is, but if I had more, that would be better. And this more, needing more and wanting more, and the fear that drives us to get more and more and more, actually fosters a culture of competition. A competition where it's about acquisition, it's about accumulation, and it's about greed. And again, we begin to engage in behaviors that we're not really proud of. It took me a long time to recognize that competition is actually based in lack and limitation. I grew up in a family where we said there's healthy competition. And competition is friendly and entertaining. I grew up playing lots of games like Monopoly and Dominoes and Skip-Bo and Uno. And I played all of those games, and my brother and I worked very hard and diligently to become the best at those games, even though we knew at a very young age that my Aunt Marianne, my sweet Aunt Marianne, Aunt Marianne, who was the personification of sweetness and light in every other aspect of our relationship, was a cutthroat. So the meta message that my brother and I grew up with was, you have got to be the best at any cost. And I think there's a subtle and profound difference between that drive to be the best at any cost and infusing everything we do with love, with joy, and peace. Because when we come from infusing everything we do with love and joy and peace, the intangibles are immeasurable. We have and experience the best of ourselves when we infuse everything versus, go ahead, I will squash you like a bug. I'm not kidding. I grew up with, I will squash you like a bug. What a shift that feeling brings of appreciation and gratitude to a situation that we're engaged in, where we say, I'm so grateful. I appreciate this situation. I'm going to infuse everything I do with love, joy, and peace. What a difference experience it brings for us. What a different experience, gratitude and appreciation, those feelings that we infuse our activities bring to us. Instead of more, more, when we worry about not having enough and we get caught up in that more is better, then we begin to measure ourselves. We're only best if we have more than everybody else. We measure our more by what we have compared to everybody else. So I have more education. I have more money. Or sometimes the come from is, I have more troubles than you. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody and they go, oh man, the traffic was bad. And then you go, you have no idea what bad traffic is. I can out-traffic your bad traffic. Right? I'm not trying to dismiss or deny that there are tragic situations that we grow up in, that there are horrific childhoods that some of us have had, or really disastrous marriages or dysfunctional employment. I'm not denying that any of that exists, but what I'm saying is, even when it comes to victim consciousness, we can be very competitive. You don't know the life I've had. And I'm going to get more. The more victim consciousness I get, the more attention. But is that really the kind of attention that you want in your life? Toxic myth number 3, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. It always has been. It always will be. So you might as well give up any hope of it ever being different. Like, resign yourself to the fact with a small lowercase f. I call those false facts. Yeah, they exist, but they're based in false consciousness. So that's just the way it is. Takes all the air out of the balloon, the tires, whatever else is inflated. It takes all the air right out of it. Now, last week, Reverend Nikki told a story about Esther from Hebrew Scriptures, and she called it a soap opera. Esther is not the only soap opera in the Hebrew Scriptures. There's the story of Jacob from the book of Genesis. Now, we identify with soap operas because they have all the elements that reflect our lives. So we look at a soap opera, you go, yeah, I can relate to that, and I can relate to that, and they're all relatable. They are relatable because they're about family dynamics. They're relatable because there's relationship drama. They're relatable because people struggle with their jobs and their life works. And they're relatable because there are emotional and mental conflict. And there's the presence of these 3 toxic myths in a soap opera. So in the soap opera of Jacob, Jacob was born the second son, right behind his older brother Esau. They were twins, but they were as different as night and day. Esau was a hunter. He was hairy, and he was his father's favorite because he would go out and get game, and he would bring it home and cook for his father, the father's favorite foods. Jacob was very smooth-skinned, and he was as sharp as a tack. He was a herder of sheep, and he was his mother's favorite. You see how the plot is developing. Now, what Jacob wanted more than anything in the world was to have his father's blessing. For if he had his father's blessing, he would feel legitimate. He would feel like he was a part of the family lineage. But here's where the toxic myths come into play. Esau knew that there was not enough because only the older brother got a blessing. And Esau knew that more was better. I'm going to get it and you're not. And Jacob's dilemma is that's just the way it is, because in that culture, in that time and place, only the older brother got the blessing. Now, what happens next in the story from a literal human perspective, was actually horrible. It was actually horrible because Jacob tricked his dad. Now, in Unity, we believe that we are not punished for our sins, but we're punished by our sins. The Eastern religious traditions call this karma. And not to worry, in a future episode of the soap opera, it comes around. Jacob tricked his father, and then his father-in-law tricked him. But that, like I said, is a future episode. In this episode, mentally, emotionally, and metaphysically, what happened in this episode is actually a stunning twist. A stunning twist in the story. Because what happened was, in consciousness, Jacob left his belief system behind. He dressed up in his brother's clothes. He got a piece of animal hide and put it over his arm. And then he went into his father, who was very old and nearly blind, probably what we would call today, he was legally blind. He was legally blind, and he said, "It is I, Father, and I am here for your blessing." And Isaac says, "Come closer." And Jacob says, "Here's my arm." And then he says, "Let me give you the kiss of blessing." And Jacob got those smelly clothes and went like that. And he got the blessing. He took that leap in consciousness because metaphysically, Esau represents our current version of ourself. Esau represents how we buy into toxic myths. It represents that's just the way it is. I'm the older brother and you can't do anything about it. Everything about Esau was cemented into the current experience. But metaphysically, Jacob means supplanter. So what Jacob did was go into a higher consciousness. He supplanted the thoughts, the limiting beliefs. He supplanted them with new thoughts and new feelings and created new belief systems. His feeling got the blessing. His feeling got the blessing. The teaching is not new in Unity. In New Thought Circles, feeling, getting the blessing, has been around for a long time. New Thought writer Neville Goddard, in his book, Feeling is the Secret. See, now we're all in on the secret. He said, sensation precedes manifestation. So we have to be very mindful about the sensation that we're creating so that the manifestation that we want matches the sensation. We have to be very careful about the feelings, the thought, the emotions, and the moods that we're feeling, for there is an unbroken connection between your feelings and your visible world. Do you see how, we're caught up in the soap opera of life, but we don't have to stay that way. We can put on our Jacob. We can begin to supplant the thoughts, the feelings, the belief systems that we have and make that move to open up ourselves to that manifestation, that emergence of our deepest desires. We can open ourselves up to the emergence. Oh, I'm so excited. Would you bring me some water, please? Water more than you. I'm just kidding. Not really. And I think I get choked up because this is something that I want to overcome. This is something that is alive in me to overcome, to have a different experience. I know I can have it. And I know if I can have it, you can have it. That deep desire, that spiritual calling, that spiritual purpose, that authentic self that is in me that needs to overcome a belief system or a combination of belief systems that's no longer serving me. So what I'm doing and what I'm inviting you to do is to tune into the blessing, tune into the feeling that you want to create, that you want to generate, that you want to have as the foundation for moving into a new way of being. Neville Goddard goes on to say, think feelingly only of the state you desire to realize. All changes of expression are brought about through a change of feeling. A change of feeling is a change of destiny. Everything changed for Jacob when he generated the feeling that got the blessing. Reverend Ike picked this up in his prosperity teachings. He said, if you want to experience an abundant life, then you have to feel your abundance. Feel the blessing of the money in your bank account. Feel the blessing of health in your body. Feel the blessing of appreciation in your environment. Feel the blessing of inequities melting away, opening your path, opening your way of being to a higher state, to a higher consciousness. The lesson, the key to the teaching today is feeling gets the blessing. Feeling gets the blessing. Say it with me. Feeling gets the blessing. So no matter where you are in this room today, where you are listening or watching this later, or at any time, it's new for you, so it's not later, but say to yourself, feeling gets the blessing. Feeling gets the blessing. What are you doing to condition your consciousness with your feelings? One of my prosperity teachers shared a story not long ago about getting interviewed by the Chicago Board of Trade. He had taken all the tests. He had aced all the tests. He had done all the work. He was in his final interview, and in the final interview, someone on the panel said, "How do you feel about your personal finances?" He was taken aback. Pretty much, how dare you ask me about my personal finances? And then he thought, well, maybe there's something, like this is a trick question. So he said, could you repeat the question? How do you feel about your personal finances? And he realized they were not asking him what his personal finances were, but how he felt about them. Because the Chicago Board of Trade recognized that if you didn't feel good about your personal finances, if you felt that you were in lack or you had a consciousness of limitation, if you had a consciousness of desperation, then that consciousness would come with you onto the floor of the Chicago Board of Trade and would impact every decision you made. And they didn't want their clients, their people, to be infected with that consciousness. They wanted somebody who felt good about their finances, who felt that they were blessed by the money that they had in their bank account. They were blessed by the way they felt about luxury and opulence. So the question for us then is, what are we doing? What are we feeling about ourselves? What are we feeling about our situations? What actions are we taking to generate the feeling that we want about our desires coming to fruition? Let's just look at a person who wants to be successful at karate. Karate. I'm on the mainland. Karate. What do you do if you want to be successful? Well, you put on a gi and you tie your belt just right. And when you put on your gi and your belt is tied just right, you feel like you can be successful at karate. When you're in sales and you're going to a big sales meeting, you put on your lucky suit because you feel good and you feel successful in your lucky suit. You could have all the skills in the world to be the best at karate. You can have all the skills in the world to be good at sales. But if you don't feel like you're good, what are the results? If you decide that it is a great feeling of opulence and luxury to go to Starbucks once a week on Friday on your way home from work, and you know that's going to make you feel good, go to Starbucks and buy the latte. If you feel like buying yourself a rose every day or a dozen roses once a week is going to make you feel luxurious and opulent, buy your rose or your dozen roses, because that's what's going to generate that feeling for you. I asked a group of people this week what they could do to generate that same feeling of opulence. And one of them said, I'd like to dress up as a licensed Unity teacher, which is his goal, his desire, instead of wearing my pajamas to my online classes. I'm going to dress up. It's not about faking it till you're making it. It's about figuring out what you can do to generate, to find that feeling, that spark inside you that's already there. 2 people in the group said they were going to go to a hotel room because when they stayed in a hotel room, they felt like they were living in luxury. One of them said she wanted to feel so prosperous that she didn't know the difference between the day before payday and payday. Are these sparking some things in your mind? One student who was in this group, and it was the most profound thing I heard, the last 8 weeks, she's been complaining about her work environment. And she said, the feeling that would make me just over the moon excited is generating a feeling of gratitude for my workplace. I know that if I could be grateful and appreciative for my workplace, then I wouldn't even see the difficulty and the conflict that is there. Generating that feeling of appreciation and gratitude. Generating that feeling of appreciation and gratitude. Just think of it like a locomotive that's getting going, because the feeling is going to what makes our transcendence, our transformation stick. And when I say stick, I mean stick like Gorilla Glue. Post-it notes are good. Post-it notes have a different kind of adhesive, and they get us pointed in the right direction. But it's the feeling that gets the blessing. So I'm wondering, and my challenge is to you, are you willing to generate a Gorilla Glue gratitude to ratchet your lives up to the next level? Woo! It could happen. It could happen. Because when you believe, miracles occur. And when I find that place of gratitude where the feeling is so strong and genuine, we don't see the conflict, we're not bothered by the difficulties. We're in a whole new consciousness. Whole new consciousness. If this is something that interests you, Unity of Wilmington has an affirmation. I infuse my life with gratitude, and if you want, you can put Gorilla Glue gratitude in there. I infuse my life with gratitude because I know the feeling gets the blessing. Let's say this together. I infuse my life with gratitude because I know the feeling gets the blessing. The feeling gets the blessing. Take a breath. Take a breath from the soap opera of your life. And know that you have the capacity to be the Jacob, to be the one who supplants the old with the new. Let's close our eyes and come into a time of meditation. Giving thanks for the gift of the old, for it has brought us to where we are today. Giving thanks for all the times we have lifted ourselves with feelings of love and joy and peace. Giving thanks for all the times we have stepped away from our attachments to the external circumstances in our lives and lifted our consciousness to the light, allowing the light to cleanse and renew, to shine in all the nooks and crannies, and bring new wisdom, new thoughts, new beliefs, new feelings into the cells in our bodies, into the love of our hearts, to the wisdom of our mind. With courage and bravery for seeking new ways of generating new feelings. Feelings of opulence, feelings of grace, feelings of forgiveness, new pathways to allow our innermost desires, our spiritual purpose, our authentic self to be bathed in the glory of the blessing. New thoughts, new feelings, new belief systems. A higher consciousness to live from. Feelings of kindness, feelings of compassion, feelings of generosity. How does it feel to give? How does it feel to be kind? How does it feel to lift others into the abundance that we live in? There is enough. there is a way of being that is better without having more. And if we don't like the way it is, we can choose and choose and choose again. New thoughts, new feelings, new belief systems, fully immersed in gratitude, fully immersed in appreciation. We come back to a new time, a new place, and as a new expression of our true selves. Breathing in, breathing out, bringing awareness back to our bodies, bringing awareness back to our environment, bringing awareness back to our shining light. So it is, and so we let it be.
A lot of tears I had to cry through. A lot of battles left me battered and bruised. See, I was shattered, had my heart ripped in two. I was hurting, I was hurting. There were times I almost stumbled and crashed. Stood on the hills, I was down my last chance. It was so often I was so convinced that I was over, I was over. But I had to fall to rise above it all. I'm grateful for the storm, appreciate the sun. I'm grateful for the wrong ones, make me appreciate the right ones. I'm grateful for the pain, for everything that made me brave. Thankful for all my scars, 'cause it only makes my heart grateful, 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 grateful. I was sinking, I was drowning in doubt. The weight of all the pain was weighing me down. Pulled myself together and I pulled myself out. Learned a lesson, that there's a lot you gotta go through, hell yeah. But there's so much, no regrets. I got only love, got no bitterness. Count my blessings, count my blessings, yeah. Proud of every tear, 'cause it got me here. I'm grateful for the storm, made me appreciate the sun. I'm grateful for the wrong ones, make me appreciate the right ones. I'm grateful for the pain, for everything that made me break. I'm grateful for all my scars, 'cause it only makes my heart grateful, 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 grateful.
Thank you for being here. I want you to feel the law of abundance and the law of circulation, and please donate generously if you've been moved or inspired. There's a basket in the back for those of you who are here. We have Venmo, Facebook, and there's another one.
And the website.
Website, that's it. Thank you.
And thank you for supporting the message, a message that the world needs to hear, a message that is so simple to engage in. Feeling. We feel all the time, but generate some feelings for yourself that you want to stick with like Gorilla Glue.
There is nothing I would change. Not even one mistake I made. I got lost, found myself, found my way. I'm grateful for the storm, made me appreciate the sun. I'm grateful for the wrong ones, make me appreciate the right ones. I'm grateful for the pain, for everything that made me break. I'm grateful for all my scars, 'cause they only make my heart grateful, 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 grateful. Oh no, grateful. You care for me, always be there for you. No time for the wrong ones, we always be there for you. Oh yeah, oh I'm grateful, I'm grateful, I'm grateful, I'm grateful, grateful.